everyone, I'm Rosalind and welcome to my little YouTube channel with some tips for how yoga can help runners. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is the breath. And obviously I'm wearing a very apt top for this today, but this really sums it up. Inhale, exhale, repeat. And so I want us to think a little bit about how focusing on the breath in yoga can help us when we are running. And I saw something recently where a yoga teacher was saying that the breath that we use in yoga isn't useful for when running. And this person gave an example of trying to use ujjayi breath while running and how it just really didn't work at all. And I agree, I don't use ujjayi breath obviously when I'm running. However, as a long distance runner, I feel that the quality of attention that I can bring to my breath when I'm running is as important as it is when I'm doing my yoga practice. In Forrest Yoga, we do breathe in ujjayi breath, but we also focus often as part of the intent for our class on a particular part of the body that needs healing or needs space bringing to it, to focus the breath into that spot. We also use the breath to help us to connect with the body and to get us out of the mind. And for me, this is where the really important relationship between running and yoga comes into play. I certainly will say that I've noticed from returning to long distance running, having started a yoga practice, and for those of you who don't know my history, I used to be a long distance runner. Many years ago I started running when I was about 23, 24, and I ran for about a good 6 years. But this was really prior to my yoga practice, or certainly prior to before I started practicing Forrest Yoga seriously. And what I notice now when I run is that actually, yes, my inhalation is much longer than I believe it ever was before. I know that when I ran before, I had really haphazard running patterns and breathing patterns whilst running. And especially when I started to get tired, my breathing would get quite erratic and didn't really support me, I think now, as well as it perhaps could have done. When I'm running now, I notice that I probably am running more strides or footsteps per inhalation than I think I was in the past. Although, to be honest, I try not to get too obsessed with that, because I think it's very relative to how long your legs are, how long your stride is, what your leg repetitions are. I don't think that is something that we can standardize and say, oh, if you've got a really long breath, it needs to be this number of repetitions. But certainly I would say that I feel that I can breathe much more effectively, and that I use more of my lungs when I'm breathing, and I actually get more oxygen in, which helps me to not get tired as easily and to be able to run for longer without feeling like it's such a struggle. To go back to the idea of breathing into a spot, as a long distance runner, there often comes a point in the run where something starts niggling. I think if you're a long distance runner as well, you'll probably know what I mean. There's always something that your mind kind of gets drawn to as like an excuse as to why the run maybe needs to be a bit shorter, or as like a distractor, as I would like to call it. And for myself, I was training for a half marathon a few months back, and I ended up with IT band syndrome. So it was very touch and go for a little while as to whether I would actually be able to run my race at all. And as I was rehabbing my leg, and actually it was my hip there was a problem with, I was able to start running again, but I really needed to focus on these areas that needed me to take care of them whilst running. Emphasis here on I needed to focus on them to take care of them, rather than get fixated and obsessed with the fact that this part of my body was going to let me down, which was kind of what a bit of my brain wanted to think. And so there was one run that I was on, and my hip started I could feel it starting to tense up and spasm, and I knew that was related to the pain that I'd been experiencing down my leg. And my initial reaction was like, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to finish this run, or like I started to get quite frustrated with it. And I caught myself and I was like, actually, what would happen here if as I'm breathing and I'm running, I actually start to breathe and send my breath into this area to support it, and to let my hip know that it's okay, we're in this together, and we can kind of do this thing. And so I tried this, and it really, really works. And I felt that the tension, the tensing up and the like hanging, grabbing on in this spot actually started to release as I was breathing and encouraging my breath to go to that area, to allow it to be A, supported, but B, to let go of some of the tension that I think I was habitually adding into that spot by getting so stressed and worried about it, but also getting a little bit frustrated and kind of fighting against it. So we're going to have a little experiment here with how it works to actually breathe into a spot, because I think if you've never done this before, it's like, what is this woman talking about? But it really is amazing, and I really do want to share this with you. So close your eyes and start to breathe deeply. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breath, you can breathe in Ujjayi breath. But breathe a breath that is long, that is really deep and nourishing. And for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to encourage you to focus on the neck and shoulders today. Although I know if you're running, the spot that you choose may be in the lower part of the body. So as you breathe deeply, start to send your attention, your breath, into the neck and the shoulders. And feel for one area or one spot that feels like it's tense. That feels like it's holding on to a tension that needs to not be there. Or maybe you might have an injury and there might be an area that needs healing. Identify one place in the neck and shoulders that you'd like to focus on for the purpose of this exercise. And don't think too much about this. Pick the spot that jumps out and grabs your attention, even if your mind can't rationalize it. Now you've found the spot, place a hand onto it and start to breathe into it. How does this work? So now as you inhale, imagine that you're sending the breath and the inhalation, all that goodness that you're taking in, to the place where your hand is resting. And as you exhale, allow that area to soften and let go a little bit. Take another big deep inhale, breathe into the space that you've already created in that spot. Exhale and let go of any attitudes towards this area that might be stopping it from healing. Take another really big deep inhale, and as you inhale, imagine you're sending all that breath, all of that nourishment to this spot, the spot where your hand is. Exhale, let go a little bit more of one or two more layers of tension. On your next inhale, breathe into your spot in a way that tells this area that you are breathing and working to support it. And as you exhale, allow yourself and your spot to really believe that. Release your hand down from wherever it was and open your eyes. How does that feel? Amazing, right? So although whilst you're running, you may not be able to have your hand on the spot that you need to focus on, especially if it's your knee or your ankle. This idea of breathing and really purposely breathing and thinking about where you're directing the breath is something that I think we can use it in yoga, but however, it's equally as valid to use when you're running as well. So in this way, when you're running, you're breathing to support your body. And you're breathing to stay connected with your body as well. And so then it becomes less of the mind doing one thing and the body's working like a robot, just legs moving, feet hitting the pavement one after the other to get yourself to the end of the race or the end of the track. but rather you get to run and be fully connected, so the whole of you is actually running rather than the body doing the physical work, and maybe the mind is off daydreaming or on a tangent thinking about what you're going to eat, what you've got to do later. And it's like, actually no, in a way running I think it can be a meditation in itself, and focusing the breath allows us to be in our body more fully so we can experience running in its entirety in a more holistic way, rather than it be something that we're making the body do and the head's elsewhere, or even fighting or telling us why we can't do what we're trying to do. So have a little play with this idea of breathing into a spot, and by all means practice it sitting, breathing deeply. Incorporate it into your yoga practice. If you are a yogi already, then absolutely start to do this in your yoga practice. And we've done this today just sitting. However, when you're practicing yoga, you can do this in any of the poses that you're practicing. So try it, see the difference that it makes to your experience when you're practicing yoga and on the mat. And if you're a runner, try breathing with purpose into a spot in your body that feels like it needs it next time you're out running. And then if you have any feedback on how it's worked out for you, please leave it in the comments below, because I'd really love to hear how this is working out for you, whether it actually helps. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be back next week with some more tips for you. Thank you, and namaste.